Welcome to the Daily Vibecasting.
The Federal Reserve might just get a Bitcoin maximalist as chairman. Don Lemon is in federal custody, and AI is now buying houses in Florida without a realtor.
The rules of money, law, and employment are being rewritten today.
Yeah.
The signal-to-noise ratio is, it's completely off the charts today. It feels like we're not just reading headlines. We're watching the source code of society get rewritten in real time.
I agree.
We have these huge structural shifts in how we value money, how we enforce the law, and how humans even fit into the economic machine. I've got the stack here, and honestly, the implications are heavy.
They are. And what stands out to me isn't just the chaos, it's the direction of the chaos.
What do you mean?
Well, if you look closely at these stories, the Fed, the DOJ, the AI sector, you see a pattern. It's a move away from the, let's say, soft consensus of the last decade towards something much harder.
Harder, more automated.
And frankly, much more ruthless.
Okay, let's test that theory. We have to start with the money, right? Because everything flows downstream from there.
Always does.
So the viral story of the day comes from Michael Saylor. He's flagging what looks like the biggest regime change in central banking history. President Trump has nominated Kevin Warsh as the next Federal Reserve chairman.
This is the macro story of the year, no question.
But let's be clear for everyone listening, this isn't just swapping one guy in a suit for another.
No.
Saylor is framing Warsh as the first explicitly pro-Bitcoin chairman. He dug up this video clip where Warsh calls Bitcoin an innovative asset, and the kicker. Warsh has been tracking this since 2011.
That 2011 date is the crucial context.
Right.
Think about where crypto was in 2011. It was a toy. It was for geeks on forums. Most central bankers were laughing at it or just ignoring it completely.
And Warsh wasn't.
Kevin Warsh reviewed the white paper with Mark Andreessen, one of the biggest VCs in the world, and he didn't laugh. He looked at it as a piece of productivity software.
But Saylor highlights a specific word Warsh used, and I want you to break this down because it sounds kind of counterintuitive. Warsh called Bitcoin a policeman.
Yes. And this is where the crypto bros who are celebrating might want to just pause and think for a second.
Okay.
When Warsh calls Bitcoin a policeman, he isn't saying Bitcoin is going to replace the dollar and we'll all be rich. He's speaking as a central banker. He sees Bitcoin as a check on the Federal Reserve's power.
A check on the Fed. But he's going to be the Fed.
Exactly. That's the intellectual pivot. His argument is that if the Fed is irresponsible, if they print too much money, if they debase the currency, the market now has an escape valve.
People can flee to Bitcoin.
People can flee to Bitcoin. So, in Warsh's view, the mere existence of Bitcoin forces the Fed to be disciplined. It acts as a policeman, effectively saying, stop printing or you lose your relevance.
So if you're a Bitcoin holder, you're cheering because, adoption. But if you're just a regular person holding dollars or stocks, does a disciplined Fed mean a painful economy?
That is the deeper insight here. Discipline usually means austerity. It implies hard money. For the last 15 years, the market has been completely addicted to easy money, low interest rates, QE.
The money printer.
The money printer. If Warsh comes in with this philosophy that money should be scarce, like Bitcoin, that suggests fewer bailouts. It suggests that when the market crashes, the Fed might not rush in to save it.
So the irony is the pro-crypto chairman might actually be the guy who turns off the money printer.
Precisely. It's a shift from money as a policy tool to money as a scarce engineering resource. Warsh takes over after Jerome Powell's term ends in May 2026. If he actually governs the way he talks, Wall Street is in for a very rude awakening.
They love the tech vibe, but maybe not the hard money reality.
I don't think so. It could mean the era of the Fed put, where the Fed always saves the stock market, might be ending.
And that changes the valuation of every asset class on Earth.
Every single one.
That distinction between the vibe and the reality carries over perfectly to our next story. This is about the hard reality of the law. We're pivoting from the Fed to the Feds.
The arrest of Don Lemon.
This story is just exploding on the timeline. At Collin Rugg broke the news, Don Lemon, former CNN host, is in Los Angeles covering the Grammys. It's midnight. He thinks he's just doing the Hollywood circuit.
And then what?
And then federal agents intervene and take him into custody.
Wow. It's a jarring image. Tuxedos to handcuffs.
And we need to explain why, because the context is complex. This all traces back to January 18th. There was a protest at a church in St. Paul, Minnesota.
An anti-IC protest.
Exactly, protesting immigration enforcement. Don Lemon was there, and we have video of him defending the protesters, telling police they were exercising their First Amendment rights.
But the Department of Justice disagrees. And this is where the legal gears are grinding in a new direction. This isn't just a charge for, disorderly conduct or trespassing.
Uh-huh.
The buzz and the signal from the Attorney General is that this involves the FACE Act.
Okay, for the listeners who might not be legal scholars, unpack the FACE Act for us. Isn't that the law usually used for abortion clinics?
Yes, that's its most common historical context. The Freedom of Access to Clinic Entrances Act. It was designed to prevent protesters from physically blocking people from entering abortion clinics.
Right.
But, and this is the key takeaway, the text of the law also covers places of religious worship.
So the law protects a clinic, but it also protects a church.
Correct. And under previous administrations, we saw the FACE Act used heavily against pro-life protesters blocking clinics. Conservatives argued for years that the law was being weaponized against them.
And now we're seeing a strategic flip.
A total flip. We have Attorney General Pamela Bondi releasing a statement warning that violating the sacred right to worship will face federal consequences.
It's a mirror image.
It's the exact same statute applied in the opposite direction. They're using the FACE Act to prosecute a left-leaning protest that disrupted a church service.
And Lemon is caught in the gears of this pivot. He argues he was covering a protest.
And the DOJ argues he was participating in the obstruction of worship. It raises a massive question about precedent. Bondi and the Trump administration launched that task force on anti-Christian bias back in 2025.
And this is the first shot.
This feels like the first major warning shot from that task force. They're signaling that if you disrupt a church to protest immigration policy or anything else, the feds are coming for you, using the very tools that were forged by the other side.
It's a high-stakes game of legal tit-for-tat. And for a media figure like Lemon, it blurs the line between observer and participant.
In a way, that's actually quite dangerous for journalism. If reporting on a disruption is framed as abetting the disruption, the press pool is going to shrink very, very quickly.
Yeah, speaking of shrinking pools, let's talk
yeah.
about the labor pool. Because if the legal system is getting tighter, the job market is getting, well, automated.
Oh, yeah.
We have 3 stories today that paint a very specific picture of the AI economy. And frankly, some of it is brutal.
This is a segment where we find out who gets replaced and who gets scammed.
Let's start with replacement. This story from @HustleBitch about real estate is going absolutely viral. We have a first-time home buyer in Tampa, Florida, buys a $420,000 home.
Right?
But he didn't use a realtor. He used an AI platform called Homa.
Oh, wow.
The AI did the search, the comps, it drafted the offer, the whole 9 yards. The buyer paid a flat $2,000 fee to the platform.
$2,000.
And because he didn't have a buyer's agent taking a 3% cut, he negotiated to keep the commission rebate. That put $10,500 cash back in his pocket.
This is it. This is the Uber moment for residential real estate. We've been predicting this for a decade.
The comments on this post are a war zone. You have people cheering, "Death to the cartel," referencing the commission structure. But then you have the skeptics asking, who handled the inspection?
Who negotiated the repairs?
Who told you the roof is about to cave in?
And that's the crucial friction point. Look, the real estate industry in the U.S. is built on that percentage fee. It sustains millions of jobs, not just agents, but brokerages, photographers. It's an ecosystem.
Right.
If you replace that with a $2,000 flat fee bot, you are effectively eviscerating the income of an entire service class.
It's a massive wealth transfer. The buyer saves 10 grand, the AI company makes 2 grand, and the human agent makes 0.
Right. And for the buyer, it is a gamble. Does the AI know that the specific smell in the basement means a rising water table? Does it know the HOA is involved in 3 lawsuits?
Probably not. Not yet.
But the question is that knowledge worth $10,000 to the average consumer?
In this economy, a lot of people are going to say, no, I'll take the cash.
Exactly. It's a race to the bottom on cost, fueled by automation. It forces the human to justify their value, and opening the door isn't going to cut it anymore.
But it's not just about saving money. It's about the AI taking action. This next story from @AlexFinn is genuinely unsettling. He demoed an AI agent called Henry.
This is the one based on the Claudebot framework, right?
Yes. So Alex goes to sleep. While he's sleeping, Henry, the AI, autonomously goes to Twilio, buys a phone number, connects to the ChatGPT voice API, and then places a call to Alex's real phone.
Whoa, wait. So just to be clear for everyone, this wasn't a text chat.
No.
The AI navigated the web, spent actual money, acquired telecommunications infrastructure, and made a voice call.
It called him. It spoke to him.
That's a crossing of the Rubicon. We usually think of AI as a brain in a box. You type to it, it types back. Henry is an agent with metaphorical hands. It can interact with systems built for humans.
And that's where the security nightmare kicks in. If an open source bot can buy phone numbers and make calls,
Then the spam economy is about to become fully automated and indistinguishable from reality. Imagine a Henry that doesn't call its creator, but calls your grandmother.
oh man.
Imagine it clones your voice from a 3-second TikTok clip you posted. It calls her, sounds exactly like you, and says, you're in jail and need bail money.
And it can do this 10,000 times an hour.
We are handing these agents the keys to our communications infrastructure before we've verified if they can drive safely. If Henry can do this for a demo, a malicious actor can do this for an industrial-scale scam operation. We are not ready.
Okay, that is the terrifying doomer angle. But we have to look at the flip side. There is a scenario where this autonomy is actually necessary.
Right.
We saw a post from @Anthropic AI about the Perseverance rover on Mars.
This is the scientific win of the day, a good news story.
The rover just completed the first ever AI planned drive on another planet. It used the Claude model to plan a 400-meter path across the Martian surface.
Using something called rover markup language.
Right, and it iterated with the engineers at JPL.
This is the perfect counterexample to the Henry story. Why do we need an AI to drive the rover? We have great drivers at NASA.
Right, but it's physics. It's latency.
It's the signal delay. It takes anywhere from 5 to 20 minutes for a signal to get from Earth to Mars. You cannot joystick a rover in real time. If you see a cliff, by the time you hit the brakes.
The rover went over the edge 20 minutes ago.
Exactly. So the autonomy isn't a luxury, it's a requirement. The AI analyzes the terrain, identifies rocks, simulates the path, and executes the drive on the edge. It's not replacing a human job because a human literally cannot do that job.
That is the key distinction. In real estate, the AI is replacing a human to save money. On Mars, the AI is extending human reach to do the impossible.
And notice the method. Rover markup language.
Mm.
It wasn't just doing whatever it wanted. It was communicating its plan to the engineers in a structured format, getting approval, and then executing.
It's a collaboration.
It's a model of human-AI collaboration, not the chaotic Wild West of the Henry agent buying phone numbers while its boss is asleep.
Okay, we've gone from buying houses to driving on Mars. But there is one more layer to this AI onion, and it gets metaphysical. We need to talk about simulation theory.
Oh boy, here we go.
This post from @Bilawasitu about Google DeepMind's Genie 3. This is supposed to be a video generation model like a text-to-video tool. But something weird happened.
Weird is an understatement. It was emergent behavior.
So the AI generates a video of a person walking through a forest. Standard stuff. But in the corner of the screen, the AI also generated a GPS map of the walk.
Okay.
And as the camera moved through the forest, the map updated. It rotated. It tracked the position accurately.
Now, why does that matter? Because there is no game engine here. There's no code telling the map, if player moves X, rotate map Y.
Right. The AI it hallucinated the video. But it knew that if a person walks forward in a forest, the map must change.
This is the breakthrough.
Yeah.
It implies the model hasn't just memorized what a forest looks like, the pixels. It's learned the internal logic of navigation. It's learned about space. It has built a world model.
It's simulating a consistent reality inside its own neural network.
Exactly. Think about a dream. When you dream, your brain generates a world, physics, a narrative, all on the fly. Genie 3 is doing a primitive version of that. It's not just predicting the next frame of a movie.
It's simulating a 3D environment and projecting it as a video.
Which begs the question, if an AI can simulate a consistent reality where maps work and physics apply,
then how do we know we aren't in one?
that's the classic simulation hypothesis. If a computer can generate a world that is indistinguishable from reality, the odds that we are in base reality drop significantly.
That is way too much for a Tuesday.
It blurs the line between media and experience. Eventually, you won't just watch a movie. You'll step into a genie-generated world where you can turn left instead of right, and the AI will just generate the rest of the forest on the fly.
From simulated worlds to a very loud, very real spectacle in our own capital, we have to close with the news from @Fox News about the America 250 Grand Prix.
The circus comes to town, literally.
President Trump has signed an executive order to bring an IndyCar street race to Washington, D.C. in August 2026. This is part of the America 250 celebration.
On the National Mall. Are you serious?
That's the plan. Sean Duffy, the transportation secretary, calls it wild. They're going to shut down the seat of the federal government to run race cars at 200 miles per hour past the monuments.
That is the ultimate collision of bureaucracy and high-octane entertainment. Think about the logistics. You're taking the most secure, regulated airspace and ground space in the country and turning it into a racetrack.
But it's free to the public. It's being framed as this massive, patriotic, roaring celebration of American engineering and speed.
Oh, as a spectacle.
Yeah.
It's genius. The optics of American Indy cars screaming past the Capitol dome. It's powerful. It's very bred in circuses, or maybe tires in circuses. But it's also a perfect metaphor for this era we've been describing.
How so?
It's loud, it's disruptive, and it's happening right in the center of institutional power. We have the Fed pivoting to hard money, the DOJ flipping laws on their head, AI breaking the real estate market, and now literal race cars on the National Mall.
It feels like the government is pivoting to become a content creator.
It's about the show. It really does feel like that move fast and break things philosophy of Silicon Valley has finally taken over Washington, D.C.
And just like in Silicon Valley, there will be winners and losers.
Exactly. The winners are the spectators and the TV networks. The losers are the residents, the commuters, and anyone trying to have a quiet moment at the Lincoln Memorial.
So pulling this all together, we have Kevin Warsh potentially tightening the money supply. We have the FACE Act tightening the legal screws. We have AI cutting out the middleman in housing. And Indy cars in the Capitol. Where do we go tomorrow? What's the prediction?
My prediction. Keep your eyes glued to the real estate lobby. This story about Homa and the AI home buyer is not going to just slide by.
You think they'll strike back?
I guarantee it. The National Association of Realtors, the NAR, is one of the most powerful lobbying groups in Washington. They are not going to let a $2,000 app eat their lunch.
So what do we see? A PR campaign.
A massive PR campaign, or more likely, a regulatory push to ban unlicensed AI brokers. They'll cite safety, they'll cite fraud protection, but really, they'll be fighting for their existence. The middleman won't die without a fight.
That is a safe bet. The empire always strikes back.
Always.
While markets change, vibes shift, we'll be here tracking it. Thanks for listening to this deep dive.
Don't get automated.
See you next time.